On today's show, the guys talk with Tyler Shaddix, the head of innovation for GoGuardian, and the great new features in GoGuardian Admin 2.0. We'll have music from Zhang Sang, a Google tip of the week, and more. That's all up next on EduTechGuys. EduTechGuys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on this site and this program are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.
Hello and welcome to EduTechGuys Radio. How you doing this afternoon? I'm one of your hosts, David Henderson.
Hey, and I'm Jeff Madlock.
Awesome. Welcome to the show. We're doing things a little differently today. I don't know. Can you guys hear the thunder through my microphone? I don't know. Pretty loud here. Anyway, we've got major thunderstorms going on here in LA. That would be Lower Arkansas. And so I'm actually at my home office, and Jeff is hanging out in the dungeon of his regular office. You're going to get flooded out, man.
Nah, we're going to be okay. We've got battery backups and generators and all that good stuff.
What's power?
Right. What's power? It doesn't really matter.
Who needs the power, man? So anyhow, we definitely thank everyone for joining us today.
Yeah.
And
thanks a lot. It's going to be a great show.
Hit us up on Twitter at EduTechGuys. Head over to www.edutechguys.com, or as we like to say, go to Google, type in EduTechGuys, smack the return button, and you'll see us. You'll find us.
That's right.
Feel free to reach out to us.
Reach out to us anywhere on the web, because we're always on the web, on the line. Right.
No,
I know, right? I got to quit using that. Right. On the line's getting crazy. So here we go. Let's get right to the bulk of the matter. We've got Tyler Shaddix with GoGuardian on the show today. Tyler, hope you're doing well. Hope everything's great out in your part of the country.
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Hey, we're doing good. It's going to be a great show. Admin 2.0. We're super excited. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I'm getting a little crazy. So tell us who you're with, what you do, and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm with the company GoGuardian. It's a ed tech company over in El Segundo, California. We do monitoring and filtering software primarily, but also some classroom management tools. And the first time I was joining you guys was for the kind of the announcement release of that classroom management tool, GoGuardian Teacher. And so I'm the head of innovation at GoGuardian, meaning I get to break all the stuff and see how it fits back together.
Hey, that's a good job.
That is awesome. That is so cool.
A lot of fun there.
Yeah, no, it's been quite a journey to kind of come from that initial stage we're releasing to, these classroom products all the way to this state where we can innovate and really push the limits of what we can do.
Yeah, very, very cool. So tell us about some of the things that you guys have been working on since you were on here last.
Absolutely, yeah. So as you guys kind of mentioned, we're kind of iterating on our first initial platform where we really kind of took off, which was our product for admins, where you can kind of monitor and filter student activity on the web. And so we've been kind of iterating on that and really looking at how we build a better mousetrap in some ways, and how do you completely go around that initial phase and really think of something new. And that's what I've been really focusing on the last couple months with my team is looking at activity flagging. I'm guessing you guys are very familiar with the concept of activity flagging on the web.
Oh yeah, we are definitely.
Yeah.
I'm sure Jeff has lots of experience going on with.
Yeah, we do. I get my emails. I know what's going down.
Well, there you go. So that's just it. So for us in the innovation department, we were kind of given the challenge of, hey, knowing what you know today about technology and about kind of what's capable on these devices, and just with kind of the way things are heading, just in the ed tech world, what would we do if we just completely reimagine the idea of activity flagging? Didn't just iterate or add new features to it, but what if you just completely started from scratch? So that's what we wanted to talk about today, was kind of what we came up with, which is smart alerts in the next GoGuardian admin iteration.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about that. What's what are smart alerts? What is smart alerts?
That's a fair question. So the way we kind of started off with smart alerts, it's the way I like describing it is to kind of start with the research we did and what we found out about traditional, and dare I say traditional, way of flagging activity, and then kind of what solution we arrived at. And so we started off with the idea of really just building something completely from scratch. And so we talked to a bunch of GoGuardian and non-GoGuardian customers because, we're not so obsessed with ourselves that we only limit ourselves to our own customers. And
right,
we
sure.
tried to figure out, what are they really trying to do with this flagging? And so a traditional keyword flagging, and once again, I hate to use the word traditional, but it's kind of true at this point. Traditional keyword flagging, the way it works is you have a bunch of words, and then you a bunch of bad words and words that might indicate something, and you load up a web page, and if any of the words on that web page match the list on the that list that you have, you go ahead and you flag it and you say, hey, this website might be bad.
Okay.
And it turns out that that's not the best way to really figure out when students need your help.
Sure.
One of the big things is accuracy, is you may guess. Words can show up in a page for a bunch of different reasons, and they're not always bad. Some words mean different things based on the context. Some words, maybe part of a sex ed class or something like that. It's really not the best way to do things, to just look at a list of words and try to say this website is bad or good based on that. So number one, accuracy is really bad. And to kind of put that in a numeric standpoint, we had one district that was working with us that had around 20,000 students in it. And they were getting about 200,000 reports a week from their students. Now, if you take the hours in the day, and you take away 8 for sleep or 6 or 5 for some admins, it's not very humanly possible to really deal with those and give them the attention they need. And it's important to say accuracy in this case is the number of incidents reported versus the number of incidents that need action, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So it's, how many of these incidents really are something bad that I need to pass on and deal with, versus how many of these incidents are just, a false alarm. And
Sure,
we call those false positives in kind of our space. So that was another one. Another big thing that we learned from talking with admins is it's understanding the words on the page is just part of what you're really trying to do with activity flagging, right? You're trying to understand what students are doing and why they're doing it. And when you just give someone the words on a page, they have to go through this process of, okay, what are the words on the page? Okay, let me load up the page and see what it actually is. Okay, what content is this page? What's the context of the student browsing to this page? Okay, from that I can infer the student's behavior, and from that I can take action, whether that action is, to get that student help or something like that, all the way to just, there is no action, this is a false alarm.
Sure.
And so there's all these steps that an admin has to go through when they're trying to understand what their students are doing. And not only that, there's most of the tools out there that do this traditional flagging, they're missing the context, right? Because based on where you're going on the web, there's a lot of context based on what you were doing before and after that's really missing from the picture of what that student was really interacting with.
Well, sure. I think of in our neck of the woods, and like students that would be at Jeff school, they could be looking for something like, we have Tyson down here is one of our big industries. So you're talking chicken. So you could be talking chicken breasts. Well,
exactly.
Breasts, you're looking for breasts, so we got to block it. No, wait a minute. In context, no. Or for that matter, breast cancer, or you could be in an anatomy class, and yes, you're looking at, you're searching breasts, but in the context of that class.
Exactly. And that's how you get these 200,000 reports, right?
Yes.
We noticed these big spikes during the year, kind of as a side note, and during some of the school year, and it was always around prom. And the reason is that all these people are going on these websites that have things like, sexy neckline or sexy shoes or something like that. And There goes the flagged activity. And
Yes.
So it's interesting to see these spikes. The districts were telling us they had these spikes right around prom every year. And we just we didn't figure it out for a little bit on what was happening. So yes, context is important. So, and another big thing is the manual processes that these admins were going through to keep these kids safe. I mean, we heard over and over again, I'm going to do whatever I need to keep these kids safe. But they
Sure.
were putting up with some stuff that just really was not a good use of their time. So, I mean, they were basically information routers at a certain point. They would deem, this is something that really needs to take action, but then they need to look up what school that kid's part of, who's the person they need to contact based on the incident, all of that stuff, and they'd have to do all this routing. And that can take 15 minutes to an hour per incident. So you basically have all these manual processes that are going on, which really just isn't making the best use of the admin's time and their, what they're really good at.
Right.
And
Exactly.
yeah, so that's kind of the overall scope of the problem space we discovered, and then that's kind of where Smart Alerts comes in. It aims to fix all of those different issues, and I can
Okay.
just kind of dive in. Yeah.
I'm assuming then that, based on what you're talking about and dealing with context, at this point you're going beyond just a simple word search. So I'm making a giant assumption, so feel free to correct me and or put me on the right path. But I'm thinking there's got to be some kind of, I don't know, for lack of a better word, AI that you guys are putting in place that kind of helps understand the context and I don't know. I mean, obviously there's some kind of um, again, lack of a better term, learning going on. I mean, am I on the right track?
Oh, you are. You hit the nail on the head with that one. That's exactly what we're doing. And so that's exactly where we went actually with Smart Alerts. And before I start speaking about it, I'll just mention it is in beta, so there might be some changes by the time it's released. To
Okay.
but yeah, it's exactly it. We look to machine learning and artificial intelligence to really understand what are these students doing, and giving admin that context of what's on the page. And so when you do artificial intelligence and machine learning, you can start going past just understanding what words on the page, and you can start actually classifying what the page is actually about. So it's like you said, it's the context. So you no longer are looking for, if a certain word comes up on the page, you're able to say this page is explicit on nature, it's pornographic, or this page is about self-harm methods.
Sure.
You can basically start classifying categories of content rather than the words on the page.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we started. We looked at how do we make it more accurate, and just doing that change where you use artificial intelligence to kind of deem what the content on the page is. We reduced that one school that was at 200,000 reports a week down to 2,000 reports a week. So they saw 100 times decrease in the number of alerts they had to deal with, simply because the context matters, which we were able to come up with a ton of examples of why it matters. So it's surprising, but at the same time, it makes a lot of sense.
Well, yeah, heck, that one school alone probably served as the basis of a, I don't know, a white paper or something for you guys. I mean, holy smokes! Here's the case study right here.
and we saw these same results in all of our pre-alpha schools. We had about in the low tens number of schools in that pre-alpha, and they all saw similar things, about 100 times to 105 times decrease. So just really phenomenal increase in accuracy there. And additionally, when you can start categorizing the content on the page, you almost miss all of the you get to skip all of those steps we talked about that an admin might have to go through to understand whether they need to take action or not, because they're no longer doing what words were on the page. Okay, let me load the page. Okay, I'm going to read through it. What do I consider this? Right? That's all taken care of through an artificial intelligence. And as you mentioned, these admins can then give feedback to this machine learning that we built, and actually improve its accuracy over time. They can say, you got this wrong, you got this right.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then of course it has to, or I guess somebody has to be able to resolve when you have one set of people saying, nope, you got this wrong, and another people saying about the exact same content, no, you got this right. So it's kind of like, well, wait a minute, somebody, what's going on here?
Yeah, and that's something we're actually looking into as we kind of move out of the beta phase in the future. Is right now we kind of, because the training data, the way you train these machine learning models is so important, we're actually kind of manually going through it and making sure it doesn't break the model's accuracy at all. In the future, we may see a point where we're actually able to give each school their own AI that knows what that school prefers.
Wow.
And then you kind of take that whole conversation away, and it's just kind of, how do you want your AI to be? And so that's a really exciting, potential avenue for improvement there.
Yeah, that is very, very cool. So kind of along the same lines, um, what can you, and I mean, I know you can't disclose, trade secrets or anything, but what are some of the things that you can say about what GoGuardian's algorithm for all of this page content and defining the context and pulling all these pieces and parts together? Can you expound on that to
Yeah,
whatever level you're allowed?
I can do a little bit. Yeah. And the way I can kind of talk about it is to talk about kind of high level machine learning and how content categorization works in general. We do a few tricks up our sleeve here to really get it right. But essentially the way machine learning works at a high level is you basically have a set of training data, and this machine is going to attempt to classify this training data into, positive or negative sets. And so the way that it's usually described is you can imagine trying to train a car, like a self-driving car, how fast it should go based on where it's driving.
Uh-huh.
And so you can picture kind of a 2-axis graph, and on one axis you have like the steepness of the road you're driving on. Is it flat or is it steep? And on the other axis you have, is it bumpy or is it very smooth? And basically what you do at that point is you go out and you start driving, and you start recording if you're going fast or slow in these various conditions. So you could say, let's have a blue circle for if I'm driving fast and a red X if I'm driving slow. And you start putting this data on this chart of, fast and slow. And, maybe if the terrain's smooth and it's level, then you're going to go really fast. And if the terrain's slow, and really, really steep and bumpy, you're going to go really slow. And so and then what you do is, all machine learning is doing is it's looking at this data and trying to find a pattern, a way to segment up those classifications with a kind of a mathematical formula. So it's saying, okay, what is the line that separates these two types of data? And then when you make a prediction, you just see which side of the line it fits on. And with words and page content, basically what you do is you take sentence structure and you take the words on the page and all of that, and you do this multi-dimension same thing where you basically use the combination of words and their links, and you try to separate out what are the categories of these pages. And the more training data you give it, the better it gets. So that's kind of the high level machine learning, how that all works.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's at a level that even I can understand
it. Yeah, and so machine learning was a huge win for us in that regard. It's just the accuracy, but we also added a bunch more to it, which I'd love to tell you guys about.
Oh yeah,
if you guys are ready to move on past machine learning.
Dude, I'm on the edge of my seat.
Well, we want to hear what's happening, man.
I've got plenty to say. So yeah, and so we have that machine learning, absurd accuracy. Another thing we did is because we've gotten so accurate, we started taking screenshots and giving those to admins when this activity occurs. So there's no longer this like trying to understand what the student was really doing, right? If I'm on twitter.com, depending on who you're following on Twitter, that page can look completely different for every single student. So this screenshot allows you to kind of this quick ability to see what was the student actually looking at when this happened, and allows you that quick decision-making status on these alerts. So not only do you get this thing that says, hey, I think this was pornography, you also get a screenshot to confirm that, which makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, because I mean, especially when you're trying to, if you're the person in charge of, kind of siphoning through all of this and saying, no, this was bad, yes, this is bad, or no, this was actually good, having that visualization to go with it, because, that's actually part of the context in itself, is what are the visual cues around the words on the page to help determine, is this good, is it bad? That's awesome. That is
exactly. Yeah, and it also, so many of the people we talk to, they said they take quick action through email. So what's the easiest way to tell someone really quickly through an email whether they should take action or not? Is to show them that screenshot right there, so they can say, I really need to deal with this, or it's not something I should worry about right
Oh
now.
yeah, that's
Right.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And we're excited. Can you tell?
Yeah. Another thing that we kind of looked into was workflow. I mean, there are so many things involved with kind of handling an incident, and how could we give admins and educators the tool to kind of handle those inside our product. So we gave all of these alerts that are reported the ability to have their status changed. So you know whether people are currently working on an incident, or whether it's been dismissed as something they don't need to worry about, or whether it's been resolved. And that kind of gives you this high level filtering ability of what is the most important thing I can deal with today. And not only that, we gave them the ability to comment back and forth on an alert. So you know who's dealing with it, or what the next step should be, everything like that. You don't need to get this email chain anymore.
That is awesome. It's amazing how many changes have come, and really how far GoGuardian has grown from, it was already doing awesome things. So you're putting like icing and sprinkles on top of the awesome.
Yeah, and we recognize there's always room to improve, especially as technology, just goes through its crazy iteration cycles.
Sure.
And that's what we're doing here. So yeah, and we also added the ability to assign people. So you can actually, instead of having to email someone a link and say, hey, can you handle this? You can just type their name in, and they'll get an email that says you've been assigned to this alert. And kind of gives you this whole workflow glue to really get things done with a 1-2 click from that dashboard.
Well, and I like that feature because we've become a very push-oriented society. We used to go get information. Now we want it pushed to us. Or I say that. I guess that's kind of very generalizing, but still, I get I get an alert on my phone, or I get the email pushed to me that says, "Hey, this, you handle this, you do this," or in that particular case, "Hey, I want you to handle this." So I do. I think that's great. Rather than me having to go and check and see what's going on in order to kind of follow up, I'm getting the notifications. I'm getting the information directly sent to me that says, hey, here's what's going on. Here are the comments we made. Or, hey, I need you to handle this. And then as I am making those comments, then you would in turn see what was going on. So that's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's awesome because it's a time saver, and it's getting that administrator the exact information they need right then.
Exactly.
So that they can, get involved and handle it, and, not have to pick through stuff to make correct decisions on the line.
So, absolutely. And that's exactly what it is. It's about getting the human involved to really do the stuff that they're really, that you guys should be doing, that you guys are really good at, rather than this manual routing and this having to create emails. That's not a good use of your time. You're much better experts at a lot more than just generating emails.
Oh, you're giving it a lot of credit here.
It depends on the day of the week.
Yeah, that's I'm not going to take too much of a stance on that, but that's my opinion.
Hey, that's awesome.
It's another thing that we really looked into with this is that context piece, right? We talked about context within the page, but what about context of what the student was actually engaging with before and after the incident occurred? Not only that, what things have happened in the past that are related to this? So we actually built in a way to see the entire flow of, here's how the student was moving through the internet until they hit this bump in the road, and here's what happened after. So you can really see kind of the ramp up and the ramp down from the incident. And not only that, you can see all of the incidents that were related to it, within the past. So you kind of get the sense that, is this repeating? Is this something that's escalating? What is really going on with these students?
That's the big thing about your company, and that's the big thing about GoGuardian as the entity that it is. It's about the students. It's about digital citizenship. It's about making the students better and listening to what the teachers need and what the administrators need and what the school district needs, but first and foremost, what the students need. And that's a really big piece with GoGuardian, is what do the students need to make them better digital citizens, make them better learners, better students, make their experience online better. you're looking at the forward and the backward and giving us the information we need to make better decisions on our end. And that's the really big deal there. You're behind the student, you're for the student, and that's a great thing about your company.
I really appreciate it. That's totally true. We look to you guys as the experts to really figure out what we can do to help you really make these students' lives better. And you're completely dead on. We're all incredibly passionate about that. Just because we see the opportunity ahead, we see how we can help you guys really, make things, better. And that's what we're really aiming to do.
Well, cool. So now moving forward, tell us about the cool stuff that's going to be happening in the future after Admin 2.0 comes out. I know you got something else up your sleeve. Come on.
Yeah, that's a great question. So what we're really looking forward to in the future is we've kind of built this Guardian, right? And yes, I mean to say Guardian with GoGuardian as the name of the company, but we've kind of built this Guardian that's able to move with the student through the internet and really protect them. And instead of having to put up walls for that student and say, you can't go anywhere near YouTube or Twitter because there's bad stuff there. We've kind of given each student their own guardian who's able to check whether, each alley or each doorway is really something that might be unsafe and let them roam around freely and without kind of fear. And same for the parents and the administrators. And so what we're really interested in looking into in the future is how do we give this guardian kind of an education? How do we make them more of a coach and less of just a bodyguard?
Sure.
To really help the student through their educational journey. And we've already kind of taken some steps there that have kind of just gotten phenomenal results in the way that we allow admins to set up automated actions based on the student behavior. So we currently, what we're doing is we're actually allowing smart alerts to not only just, build these alerts, but you can set up automated actions to take place as these alerts come in based on the student, what OU and grade and school they're in, and also based on the category of behavior they're engaging in. And these triggered actions are kind of like, they're things like automatically assigning an admin. So you can automatically assign the principals of that student's school to certain incidents. But there are also things like messaging the student, which we've seen just absurd results of. So you can imagine as a student, if you go to a website with explicit content, having a message come through that says, hey, do you really think this is the best decision? It completely changes, at least from the results we've seen, it completely changes the way that students are browsing around. It's a huge digital solution to
it is a huge one. And that's a really big deal, I believe, because it's one thing to get a blog page or get something like that, or get an instant message that says, "Hey, you're not supposed to go there. Stay off that." But it's a big deal when a human being writes back to you and says, "Listen, hey, I care about you, and is this a smart move on your part? I think maybe you shouldn't go there. Why don't you try this?" And that's a really big deal. I mean, I think that's going to make a huge change in the way that students learn. And it's that peer. It's not peer pressure. It's just I'm going to facilitate the learning a little better, and I'm going to help out and make sure that you're going to the right places.
Absolutely.
And be that adult figure.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we've seen it's interesting. We've seen some data that's just completely blown even our own expectations out of the water. I mean, we had a district that had 500 explicit reports a week, and they were using a block screen. And what this block screen was kind of indicating, it seems like, is just, hey, try to figure out another way around me. But then they switched from blocking to messaging, where it still showed the web page, but it told the students, hey, this is inappropriate, and you really shouldn't be doing this on your school device. And they went from 500 reports a week to 100 in the course of a week, simply by changing the way that they communicated with their students. They went from like hey, this is a brick wall, to, hey, we should have better behavior and we should be more responsible when we're using these devices.
Yeah, I really love the idea that you're moving away from that, like you said, guardian kind of, brick wall, stone wall approach into more of a coaching environment,
Exactly.
In a weird sort of way. So, and forgive me if this is going to go way off base or crazy or whatever, but in a weird sort of way, the guardian piece of GoGuardian, the definition of guardian is changing from guardian, hey, we're going to, guard the network and guard the students from all the stuff that's bad, to more of like when you think of a guardian of a child, that is the person who's responsible for helping that child grow and learn. And so it's really, I don't know, it's funny to me. You still get to keep Guardian, but it's like the definition is evolving.
That's exactly it. And we're seeing the same kind of thing here. And one of the most important things that we see it is the tool that this is going to become for teachers and administrators. It's kind of an extension of them where they can say, hey, if I could be with the student all the way through their learning journey and as they're browsing around, what would I do? How would I understand and kind of work with the student? And so it really becomes this extension of all the educators who are really invested in each student's life.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
So now that you've got us all excited about this, and me and my guys are all frothing at the mouth, and it's not from the Sour Patch Kids. When's the release date? When are we going to see it? What's the lead up? Where can we find out more information? And anyone that wants to go with GoGuardian are already with it and wanting to know what's happening.
Yeah, it's a great question. We're launching it in June, but we're actually doing weekly updates on our blog at blog.goguardian.com every week, just to kind of let you know what's coming. But you can expect that in June. Smart Alerts beta and the full kind of reiteration and reimagining of the GoGuardian admin dashboard. That's
gonna be great.
Awesome.
Yeah. So hey, listen, I hate to be the bearer of bad tidings, but all good things must come to an end, and I've got to keep I'm the time taskmaster, so I've got to keep us on time here. GoGuardian, super awesome. Tyler, thanks for coming on the show. At least the thunderstorms didn't get us all and shut off the power.
That's right.
So it's a good time here. Catch these guys on the web, GoGuardian.com. I highly recommend them. We use them at my district, and they're wonderful. Twitter.com/GoGuardian. Reach out to them. That's the perfect thing you can add for your students in digital citizenship. Thank you, Tyler. Thanks for being here, man.
Thanks, guys. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you so much to Tyler Shaddix from GoGuardian. And up next, we have our Artist of the Week, and it is Zhang Sang, and this is his version. Isn't She Lovely?
Zhang Zhang here on radio.edutechguys.com with Isn't She Lovely? He's on SoundCloud. Find him out there. Great guitarist. Hey, you know what? You can find us live this summer. We're going to be in a lot of places. So where are we going to be? Hey, David, tell them where we're going to be at.
June 7th and 8th, we will be in Springdale, Arkansas at the Innovation Institute.
Yep, and then June 12th through the 15th, will be in at the Hot Springs Technology Institute.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. That's in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And then July 12th through the 13th in Wichita, Kansas at Podstock.
Sweetness. Hey, well, you know what time it is, don't you, David?
Is it that time?
Oh, it's that time.
Google tip of the week.
Oh, what am I going to do with David? So I'm going to jump into it really quick and just tell you what it is this week. So this week, we've talked about this before, but active listening apps on Chromebooks. Now, active listening is a really big deal, especially when a student can record themselves and hear themselves speak back, so they can hear exactly what they sound like, because we always sound different in a recording than we sound live. So that's a really big one. So that's what I was going to discuss this week. There's two great ones. You can find them. We'll tweet out the link from Google at their education site. But Fluency Tutor is a wonderful one, and ListenWise, both really great apps for active listening on Chromebooks. They work directly on the Chromebook, so you can use it there. You can use it anywhere, but definitely on a Chromebook. Coupled with something like GoGuardian, your kids are going to get a great, safe experience. Also, creative apps. One of ours that is my favorite is Soundtrap. I got to run into these guys at the Texas Music Educators Conference in San Antonio this last summer, and they didn't know we existed, and I didn't know they existed. So that kind of worked out kind of interesting. And what they are is they're a company, they're an app that is created, works on Chromebooks, where you can make music and podcasts online. So it's a really, really neat piece, designed with a neat editor and some neat loops and things, so kids can be pretty creative in making their music and making their own podcasts. So that is the Google Tips of the Week. Hope you enjoy them. What do you think? Hey, well, it's been a great show. I've had a good time. I want to thank Tyler Shaddix for coming on with GoGuardian. And anything you want to add, David? As we're fighting the floodwaters here.
I was just gonna say, stay dry and make sure you have your blow up raft available, because you probably need it.
Cool. Hey, listen, I'm Jeff Madlock.
I'm David Henderson.
We'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to EduTechGuys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on the site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.